Everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to finish up our last section of notes on the executive branch. You'll probably be looking at an assignment tomorrow, and then probably like a vocabulary quiz on Monday, study guide Tuesday, test Wednesday. So I know we're going back to our blended schedule next week, so that's just what you can expect for the first 3 days. So just go ahead and let you know. So go ahead and open your notes, and we'll continue where we left off with the executive branch. We had been talking about like the 22nd Amendment and the 25th Amendment. One of those outlines, the 25th outlines the secession of the to the presidency if something were to happen to the president, vice president, and so on. And then we talked about the 22nd Amendment, which does the term limits for president, which was created after Franklin Roosevelt's presidency when he was elected to 4 terms. Okay, now for today, what we're going to discuss are the different roles of the President of the United States. The President wears a lot of hats, and you see where I have the POTUS. That's, in case you didn't know, POTUS is, it's an acronym, President of the United States, POTUS. So the President wears many hats, and we always talk about how the executive branch, their job is always to just enforce laws. Well, that's not just it. They do a lot of other things, and that's what we're going to look at today. So first of all, the President of the United States is the chief executive, and that's the part where they have to carry out the nation's laws. So they carry out the laws, they enforce the laws, and they appoint people to help them do that. So you see in our pictures here, I have a couple different presidents, and this is a photograph taken with their appointed cabinet members. So these are the law enforcement officers for our nation. Okay, so and the president's job is to appoint these people, and they carry out the will of the federal government. So chief executive is one. The president is also the commander in chief. That means he is the head of the United States military and every troop. Just like in the military, there's chain of command, and the president of the United States is the very top. So it doesn't matter if you're, how many stars you are, if you're the highest general in the nation, your boss is the president of the United States. They are the commander in chief of the military. So from the highest general to the lowest private, everyone answers to the president. Another role of the president is to be the chief diplomat for our nation. It is the responsibility of the executive branch to create treaties with foreign countries. They don't approve them. All treaties have to be approved by Congress. But the president is our chief diplomat. They are the face of our nation, and they represent us with other nations. And in times when the president's unable to be there, as you find out from your game that we played, the iCivics game, that they are able to send ambassadors on their behalf to represent the United States and her interests. So the chief diplomat of our country is our president, and as you can see by these pictures, it's we got President Bush with Vladimir Putin, and President Clinton with some meeting. My picture got cropped off, but the meeting with some leaders from the Middle East. Ronald Reagan at the bottom right with Mikhail Gorbachev, and you got Jimmy Carter meeting with, I believe that's Nikita. No, I can't remember who that is. Anyway, he's a Russian leader. But it is the responsibility of the United States president to be our chief diplomat and to also send others to represent us as well. All right. Our president is also the chief of state. Chief of state. This means that the president represents us at important functions. And you can see here presidents always attend the Olympics, even if they're not in the United States. They will represent us at the Olympics. Is a big important function. It's a global event where most nations of the world attend, and so the president usually makes an appearance. The Super Bowl is, football is the most popular sport in America, and so the winning Super Bowl team always meets with the president in the White House. So, presidents often visit the Super Bowls. So, because it's important functions, and our president needs to be, aware of what's important to our people. So, and that's just kind of a function of what the chief of state does. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a sporting event. It can be any kind of important function that's taking place within our nation. All right, so now at the same time our president is in charge of our nation, they are also in charge of their own political party. So, currently President Trump is really the driving force of the Republican Party, just as when President-elect Biden takes over, he will be the driving force behind the Democratic Party. He'll be the party leader. So, and that's just kind of the function of what presidents do. They help to support and lead their own political party. Even though they're president for the entire nation, they do have the interests of their party at heart, and they will do what they can to support and lead their own political party. So they are the party leader. They are a judicial leader. Even though they are an executive, in the executive branch, they are also judicial leaders, because every member of the Supreme Court is appointed by the President of the United States. So the very fact that the President appoints judges and justices, the very fact that a President has the ability to set aside a verdict in the form of a pardon or amnesty, that definitely makes them judicial leaders. So, the President has pretty broad powers when it comes to the ability to get involved in the judicial branch with their constitutional right to appoint judges and also grant pardons and amnesty. As you see in the bottom right, President Obama doing what has become a tradition on Thanksgiving, pardoning a turkey. It's kind of a cute thing that they do at the White House every year. So they are judicial leaders. And then just like the executive is a leader of the judicial branch, they're also a leader within the legislative branch. Now, this does not mean that the president has the ability to interpret laws. It doesn't mean the president has the ability to make laws. But they're still legislative leaders nonetheless, because presidents can do things like propose new legislation. And the place that you will see, the best time where a president is able to put forth their legislation is at the State of the Union address. Now, in recent years, President Trump has utilized social media and Twitter to let it be known how he feels about certain policy issues. Whereas in the past, many presidents took the opportunity to use the State of the Union address to propose new legislation. And if any time the president wants to go on television, the president can do that. All the networks will show it. And that's been something that's been done multiple times in the past, just not in recent years. As like I said, President Trump really he liked to utilize social media. Whatever's fine. Whatever. But they're both getting accomplished the same thing: letting the Congress know and letting the people know what policies they want, and so that they can propose and push for new legislation. But remember, they are not able to make laws. That is not the president's job. But they can ask for new laws. They can propose new laws. They can ask for new laws to be proposed, but they themselves cannot make laws. All right, so within that, we talk about how the executives can influence policymaking. We talked about proposing it at the State of the Union, as we see President Kennedy doing so in this first picture. You just simply let it be known what you want. All right. You can appeal to the people directly by whatever media you find. Like I said, you can go on the news. You can stop television and hold a press conference. You can send out a tweet, I guess a Facebook post nowadays, whatever you want to appeal directly to the people, so that the people can really start a grassroots movement for you to influence public policy. President also, as I mentioned, we talked about Twitters. And also the president, when it comes to policymaking, it doesn't necessarily have to do with getting them made, but president also has the ability to veto. And also, a president can appoint officials who carry out the laws. So we talked about that with the president's cabinet. Like if there's a bill going through Congress that has to do with energy, he may turn to his Secretary of Energy to either assist this law in being made or to try to kill it. So the president has pretty broad powers when it comes to influencing policymaking, even though the president himself has no power to make laws. Okay? All right, so the last little bit here is about how to become president. We mentioned that you had to meet certain requirements, like you had to be a natural born citizen, 35 years old, and reside within the United States for 14 years. And all of those are found within the Constitution of the United States. And then once you meet those requirements, you say, I'm going to run. And then you're not the only person that wants to be president. So there'll be a lot of people that want to run as well. And so then you begin to have campaign. You begin your campaign, and then your campaign. You travel throughout the nation having meetings, and these meetings are called caucuses. And in these caucus meetings, party members begin to select through the best candidate. So the Democrats will have their own caucus, and the Republicans will have their own caucus, and each of those will determine who they think the best candidate is. All right. So before the caucuses happen, or after the caucuses happen, then there's a primary election. For us, it usually occurs in May. And during this time, Republicans vote for Republicans and Democrats vote for Democrats. In the state of West Virginia, if you are registered as an independent, you are given the option of either ballot. But in a primary election, you only vote for the people of your own party. So it's not like the general election, because in the primary, you're trying to choose the best candidate to represent your party. So once that happens, the primary election happens, the results are tabulated, and there's a winner for each party. And so now each party has a representative to run against the other party. And then national conventions are held where the formal nominations occur. And then you hit the campaign trail throughout, trying to gain the support of people to win their support of the general population. And then in November, usually the first Tuesday in November, the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, we have the general election where people in every state across the country vote for one president and for one vice president. And when people are casting the vote, you're not really casting your vote for the person. You're casting it for an elector who represents you, because we don't use the popular vote to determine the presidency. We use the Electoral College because that's how it was established in the United States Constitution. And so as we've talked about a bunch this year, the Electoral College, each state has a certain number of electors based upon its representation in Congress. So every state has 2 senators, so 2 plus however many members of the House of Representatives they have. And you can see on this map, every state has different amounts. California is the largest with 55. And then places like, Alaska and Montana, North and South Dakota, Wyoming have 3. Those are some of your smaller ones. Even Washington, D.C. has 3. The state of West Virginia has 5, because we have 3 members in the House of Representatives and 2 senators. And so that makes up our Electoral College number. The president who wins the majority of the Electoral College with at least 270 Electoral College votes becomes the president and vice president. And we usually know those results within a week or 2 after the November election. And that person then becomes what's known as a president-elect. And then their running mate would be the vice president-elect. And then they are inaugurated usually around January 20th in Washington, D.C. They become president of the United States at that time. Okay? So that's just kind of how that works. So that's really all I have for the executive branch. That's a lot of information I threw at you, but you can pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do with your YouTube videos. Obviously, if you have questions, you feel free to contact me anytime. Also, I've changed rooms. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm in Mr. McLean's room now. So when we come back to school on Monday, I'm in a new classroom. So it's a lot bigger, and I got my TV set up, and I got my maps up, so we're good to go. So nothing else has changed. You'll just come here for 5th period on Monday. So that being said, if you guys need me, you need anything at all, just give me a shout, and I'll help you out any way I can. Talk to you later. Do your assignment tomorrow.